What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and today we're going to take some time and go over some of the changes the game has made in the PTS from Phase 1 to Phase 2. As most of you know, it started yesterday, so I wanted to take a few minutes today and go over some of the details that we have so far. Now, you can see when I first logged in, I was a little bit freaked out, had that whole floating zombie head thing going. It was happening for a lot of players, but thankfully, I had no problem logging in whatsoever. Now, there happen to be a lot of things I want to talk about today, so we're just going to jump right into it. And for me, the biggest issue I have going into Phase 2, and unfortunately this was prevalent in Phase 1 and it doesn't seem to be fixed, at least on my end, and that has to do with matchmaking. And once again, I couldn't join a group. Now, the delta errors were greatly cut down. I did have a few here and there, but for me it was much better than it was the first time. However, now when I try to join a group, I'm not getting a delta error after I join. What happens is, I use matchmaking and then I get a notification saying, "We found you a group, do you want to join?" And I go, "Yes," and I push up in the directional pad, and after that happens, I'm asked once again, "Do you want to find a group?" And I said, I swear, you just said I found a group. I thought I found a group. And I would push up on the directional pad again, and this thing would happen over and over, and unfortunately, I could never squad up. Now, it is important to mention that every time I played with a dedicated group and I was invited into a squad, I had no problems whatsoever joining the group and actually playing Countdown. And when I could play, it really was a lot of fun. Like, it's really an enjoyable game mode. However, one of the most important things, in my opinion, especially for players who like to play solo, is how is it going to work when you can matchmake when you don't know the people you're playing with. So for me, this really has to be fixed. And keep in mind, as I say that, I know it's a PTS and I know there are going to be issues, but for a lot of players out there, especially the ones who play on their own, this matchmaking system is going to determine how, if they really give this a shot or not. Obviously, people are going to try it out right when the game launches. However, if the state of matchmaking is the way it is now, it is not going to go smoothly, so I really hope, look, I know we're already in Phase 2, I don't know if they're going to make a change between now and Phase 3, but by Phase 3, this really has to be solved. With that being said, my friends, let's get into the good stuff, because I do think this game mode has potential, and many of you reached out to the channel the other day because you had a few concerns based on some of the notes of the changes that were happening between Phase 1 and Phase 2. And the first one was, what was normal difficulty actually going to be like after they implemented a few changes? I know a lot of people were saying it was way too easy in a group and you could fly through the thing, and then the concern was, are they going to make it really too difficult? And the answer is no, it really is a nice balance. You can see a change, but it's really not that bad. Another concern that was brought to my attention by you had to do with loot and the amount of loot you could actually get when you completed a full Countdown run. And as most of you know, the game did mention the other day that they were going to decrease the amount of loot that dropped during these runs. But the good news, my friends, is this is gameplay from today. I'm telling you right now, even though they decreased it, you still get a ton of loot, so you do not need to worry if it's going to be worth your time or not. Which now, my friends, brings me to talking about some of the items that we can expect with Title Update 15. And one thing I want to mention is the items, the way they look here, these are just placeholders. They are going to look totally different once this game launches. We're going to start off with the exotic LMG called the Blue Screen, and it has the Talent Disruptor rounds. Shooting an enemy marks that enemy and adds a stack to the agent up to a count of 50. Shooting a marked enemy refreshes the mark and adds stacks to the agent. When you deploy a non-shield skill, it removes all stacks on the agent and all marked targets trigger an effect, and the effects are the following: 1 through 10 stacks, pulse marked targets for 5 seconds, 11 through 25 stacks, pulse and disrupt marked targets for 5 seconds, 26 through 49, pulse, disrupt, disorient marked targets for 5 seconds, and finally, at 50 stacks, you're going to pulse, disrupt, disorient marked targets and all hostiles within 10 meters of the marked targets for 5 seconds. This effect will trigger immediately if any marked enemy is killed. Next, we have the named assault rifle Kingbreaker. It has the talent Perfect Flatline. It amplifies weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. After 2 kills, it applies pulse to the next enemy you hit. Moving on to the next exotic we're going to be seeing, it's a marksman rifle called the Direct Edict, and it has the talent Full Stop. Shooting enemies builds stacks to a cap of 20. Headshot grants 2 stacks. Each stack grants 2% weapon damage and 5% headshot damage. On reload, you clear all stacks and gain 5% of your max armor as temporary armor for 10 seconds for each stack removed. Last but not least, in regards to the weapons, we have the Dare LMG, and this has the same talent as the Kingbreaker, which is perfect flatline, amplifies weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. After 2 kills, it applies pulse to the next enemy you hit. Moving on to the gear, we're going to start with the exotic mask, the Catharsis, which has the talent Vicious Cycle. Taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, then dropping a healing cloud, which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. Now on to the Uzina gear set. Now this is the named chest piece to closer, and with this gear set you can see all the bonuses. You get a 5% total armor bonus, a 10% armor on kill, and a 10% hazard protection bonus as well. Now you can see the named version of the Uzina body armor has the talent Perfect Spotter. It increases total weapon and skill damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. Continuing on to the named Uzina bag, it is the setup and it has the talent Perfectly Opportunistic. Enemies you hit take 15% more damage from all sources for 5 seconds, however it does require using a marksman or shotgun weapon only. Finally, we have the Heartbreaker gear set, and it looks absolutely insane. You can see a 2-piece bonus gets you 15% assault rifle and LMG damage, the 3-piece gives you 15% weapon handling, and the 4-piece gives you Heartstopper. Headshots apply pulse for 5 seconds. Weapon hits on pulsed enemies add and refresh a stack of 1% bonus armor and 1% damage to pulsed enemies for 5 seconds. Max stack is 50. Needless to say, as with any gear set, you're going to get an extra bonus if you have the bag equipped or the chest piece, and in my opinion, this is by far going to be one of the most popular gear sets to use in so many different builds. And as I start to wrap this video up, and I know I said this a little while ago, but I really think that this game mode has a ton of potential, and as far as the gear goes, there is going to be so much build diversity. I'm looking at the different exotics and the gear sets and the new brand set, and there's going to be a lot of different things you can put together, so hopefully it will bring a lot of people back to the game. And actually, one thing I want to make sure I mention in regards to builds is that my goal is to put together a few hybrid builds to show you the type of things you're going to be able to do once this new content comes out. However, as you can see by the footage on screen, I haven't really been able to capture the best video as of yet. The server hasn't really been that kind to me as I've been recording, but I promise as soon as I get something good together, I will definitely pass it along. With all that being said, my friends, I'm going to start to wrap this thing up. However, as always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for the incredible support you continue to show me at the channel, and remind you, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know in the comment section down below. As I mention at the end of every video, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. We would love for you to be a part of our gaming family. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that like button as well, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.